Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back. Trading Futures Live. George here with Trading Futures Live, where we trade live in front of the camera every single day. We show you our winners, we show you our losers. We try and be as transparent as possible. Rolling solo again today. Hopefully, Franco and Beto will be back next week. Real quick, trading is inherently risky and can result in the loss of capital, so please do not copy any of our trades or take any of our trades. We are here for educational purposes only. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. It is Wednesday, August 17th, 2022, day 70 for us here, live in front of you guys. And in the news today, we already had core retail sales, better than expected. Retail sales month over month, worse than expected. Not much movement in that news, though. We had a ton of movement in the overnight before the news, and so not much of a reaction from that news. We do need to be aware 2 p.m. FOMC meeting minutes. This is from their meeting a couple of weeks ago, and this is their notes from that meeting. And so the market looks to those minutes to see if they can get any hints as to what the Fed is going to be doing moving forward. Some news tomorrow at 8:30, unemployment claims, existing home sales, and we got nada on Friday. So today was the red folder day of the week. A little bit tomorrow, nothing on Friday. And we need to remember 2 p.m. to watch out for the FOMC minutes. If we go ahead and take a look at the market so far overnight, like I said, since the London session, they dropped quite hard. A ton of red candles in a row, especially on the hourly. We can see real quick before the market opens. Let me refresh just in case. Down 0.2% on the Dow. 0.9 on the S&P, and 1%, down over 1% on the Nasdaq futures in the pre-market. And so, yes, some bearish sentiment out there, but we will see what the market does when it opens. Obviously, the internals are going to open up in extreme negative territory. With the market being down so much, the markets, each index, all of the four major indexes here to the left, have broken yesterday's lows. So we should be seeing pretty extreme numbers when the market opens here in the next minute or two. What do we have? We've got a minute 10 till the market opens. I expect to see this in negative 2,000 territory for both for the advanced decline on both the NQ and the NYSE. And I expect this to open way down here in negative 1,200 territory and lower, and negative 1,000 and lower here on the TIC-Q as well. We've got the VIX up quite a bit in the overnight with that run down, starting to retrace a little bit. And the dollar went up in the London session. Let's make this a 15 minutes so we get a little bit more data here. That's already the 15-minute. This is the open yesterday at 6 p.m. Spent most of the Asian session down, but when the London session opened, it's been up since, pushed up, pulled back to retest these highs, and created a new high there in the U.S. session open. And so we are now open. Let's see what we got. Let's watch this on a 15-minute for the moment. Right, we had a huge run down. Like I said in the pre-market analysis, longs are going to be very difficult for me right now. I need to see it come down and test some of these levels if I'm going to get long. Come down and test and retest. Right, it could come down to here and give some type of retest for me to get long from, but I either need to be long from down here, or price needs to have a really strong, solid breakout of yesterday's high and a retest for me to get long. That's also going to be kind of difficult just because of the size of this move. For it to get up here and pull back and still have enough strength to keep going, I think is going to be a bit difficult for it today as well. So we're going to stay patient as always. Try not to rush into anything. And for my shorts, for me to get short, I do not, after this long move down, I will not be getting short on any type of breakout down here. I need to see it pull back, maybe back up even into one of these two zones as far up here before having with some type of retest or strong rejection down for me to get short. So the truth is it's going to be a while before I have a trade set up. I don't expect to have a trade set up in this first 30 minutes. This market needs to make a move first. Because of this move down. As soon as I woke up and I looked at the charts on my phone, I knew it was going to be this type of day where I was going to have to be extra uber patient. So that's what we're going to do. Like I always say, we need to take, I'm here to take one good trade. And so I'm going to work on being as patient as possible for that, for my trade setup to show up, and hopefully I can then execute on that setup. And that's what we're going to do. Oh, how's it going, Aaron? The bot did not do very well yesterday. The bot is mostly needs strong trending days, and yesterday was not that. The NQ dropped before recovering completely and making new highs, and so it was up in the drop in the NQ, but it holds on to trades for a very long time, and so didn't make any money on the drop, even though it was up quite a bit. Retraced, got in long, and then it had another pullback. So the bot did not have a very good day yesterday. It did have a good day on Monday and a good day on Friday, if I remember correctly. That's all I'm going to say about the bots for the moment. I'm going to keep you in suspense for quite a while before give you any more info on the bots, but a few of the bots are ours that Franco and I have worked on programming, as well as another friend of mine, and some other bots from another gentleman that we have found that we like as well. And so I'm not really sure how much I'm allowed to talk about it. So for the moment, that's all I'm going to say on that. Sorry. We still have some room in the daily ATR on the ES. It's done 49 points so far, but the ATR has dropped considerably over the last couple of months. It being summer, completely expected for it to. So the ATR right now is 69. And we're at 49, so about, or did it go? No, it's at 67. It went down even from yesterday, so 67, and so about 18 points that we have to run as far as the daily ATR, and so do have some room, but I trade bigger zones, so that's not necessarily enough room for my profit potential. That's why, for me to be short, I need to see some type of pullback which it's giving now, some type of pullback before I get short into anything. Let's take a look at the internals, right? Like I said, I expected it to open in extreme negative territory, negative 1900, negative 1800. Like I said, I was actually expecting it to be negative 2000s or lower. The tick charts did not disappoint though. Negative 1600, negative 1400 it opened up at. Pushing up considerably hard, but when you're opening up in that extreme negative territory, you're going to have a strong push up in the first few candles. So we're not going to make any assumptions off of that yet. We are going to stay patient, let the market kind of figure itself out here in the first few minutes, maybe even the first 15, 20 minutes, maybe even the first 30 minutes. I have not heard of Take Profit Trader. Me personally, I've only used Earn to Trade, Lilu, and Apex Trader Funding. Those are the only three that I have used. Franco and Beto have used, I believe, a One-Up Trader or Top Step. They have used other ones as well. The first one I ever used was Earn to Trade, and I used that one for a while. But then moved over to Lilu because it has better rules, easier rules to pass the evaluation. You only need 10 trading days. On Earn to Trade, you need 15 trading days. There's a daily loss limit on the Earn to Trade. There's no daily loss limit. There's a consistency component to the Earn to Trade. So the Apex and the Lilu are easier to pass, but the Earn to Trade has a better payout system. And so I have my Apex account is running with the algos right now, and I'm working to pass this Earn to Trade evaluation that I started on Monday. It's they had a sale on the 50,000 for $99. I'm up $796 right now. So and it's a $3,000 goal. All right, so the tick chart on the NQ pulled back to the 0 line and got rejected off of there quite hard back into negative territory. Let's see what the chart is saying. Heck of a rejection off on this second 5-minute candle since the open. Take a look at the volume. We've got very good volume in the first candle there on the 2-minute. And I believe that's pretty good volume here on the 5-minute as well. Yeah, way above these days. Lower than yesterday, but yesterday had quite a bit of volume. So an average, I would say, because it's below all of these highs, but it's above all of these lower volume days. So an average day on the 5-minute as far as the volume is concerned so far, anyway. Heck of a rejection. Is that the pullback? Was this the pullback to continue going down? I would have loved to have seen it a little bit deeper, kind of like I drew here, maybe test this zone. I don't have an issue with where it pulled back to because it's these lows from yesterday. here. So I'm not necessarily not opposed to where it pulled back to here and tested. Right? This support became new resistance. Got 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in this 15-minute. That's a heck of a rejection there. After looking at a few charts, I don't necessarily, if I get into a trade short, if I consider this to be the pullback and I do get into something short, if it breaks these lows, I need my target. I don't really want my 2-to-1 target to be past this 42.50 level. If I go to the all right, it's basically the lows from Monday. That would be quite the wide-ranging candle. It could certainly go through that, but and so I may have a runner beyond that, but I don't want to I don't want my 2-to-1 target to be beyond that. So I'm going to need to monitor that. Hey, good morning, Python. So Aaron, with earn to trade, I haven't actually done my personal due diligence. But according to Beto, earn to trade, you can literally take out money the first day. They so Beto's system with earn to trade is every $500 or $600 that he makes, he withdraws that. Because another advantage that earn to trade has, each different company has their advantages and disadvantages, right? And another advantage that earn to trade has is that the drawdown is an end of day drawdown. So where Lilu and Apex, the drawdown is based on your unrealized account. So if you're up $1,000 in a trade, but you close at break even, your drawdown trailed your unrealized inside of that trade up the $1,000. In earn to trade, if you're up $1,000 but you close it out break even, your drawdown doesn't move at all because it's at the end of the day. So if at the end of the day you're flat, then your trailing didn't move. And so Beto's system is every like $500 or $600 that he makes, he withdraws that money, and he withdraws it ideally that same day. Because if he's able to withdraw it that same day, it won't affect his trailing drawdown. Essentially, he makes $600, he withdraws it, he's flat, essentially then on the day, as far as the drawdown is concerned, and so he keeps his entire drawdown there available. And so that's an advantage that earn to trade has compared to the other ones where you have to have 25 trading days before you can have your first withdrawal. But earn to trade has a more difficult evaluation to pass than the other ones do. If you guys are maybe just joining us, we had a pre-market analysis at 9 a.m. I'm going to be I want to say more patient than usual today. We had a huge push down in the overnight, basically since the London session opened. We even broke yesterday's lows, and you can see in this move down, we had no pullback until now at the open that we had this pullback, and it was a pullback. I would have loved to have seen it a little bit deeper to try and get short, but because of this huge move down, not in a rush to get into anything short. I'd like to more so try and get short from one of these zones up here, because these lows to me from Monday are kind of my ATR extension down here, right? If it gets down to here to around 42.50, that'll be the ATR extension. So I need to get in short. If I'm going to get in short, I'd like to get in up here so that I can target out before that ATR extension line. And for me to get long, I'm looking for it to test some of these levels down here and maybe get rejected off, where I can consider it the low of the day on the push down to get long. If not, I can't get long really until it breaks the high from yesterday with a strong push above that high. Because imagine if this was a strong push down, this push that it needs to get way up here, and then show some signs of exhaustion before trying to get long after like a retest of either the highs or the overnight high there. And so my longs are going to be at extremes. My shorts are going to be somewhere here in the middle of the range so far, ideally. Could I get in on a breakout? Kind of depends on the price action. I originally said that I needed a pullback before I would get into any sort of short. It did give a pullback there. Again, I would have liked for it to be have been a little bit deeper. But we'll see what kind of price action we get if it does break below here. And so the patience is going to need to be turned up to 100 today. Like I said very early on in this live session, I really would not expect to be getting into any trade in this first 30 minutes. And looks like that's going to be a reality because there hasn't been enough movement for me to get into anything so far. And if you remember yesterday, I didn't get into any trade in the live session. Ended the live session at 11 a.m. and less than like 5 minutes later got into a trade. We can go take a quick look at that. It was a winner. I made 2R. Price chopped around for quite a while. Finally broke down at 10:30. Thought about getting short. I was patient. The 5-minute did close below, but on the pullback, I was hesitant to get in because of the racetrack that it had back up. When it pulled back up, the 15-minute closed back here, so the 15-minute did not close below. Then we basically got to 11 o'clock. I canceled it or turned off the live session, and at that moment, I actually started watching a YouTube video. It was a live YouTube video that popped up right after I ended the live session, where they were talking about the Dow holding above the 200 SMA. At that point, the Russell and the NQ looked like they were reversing after pushing down quite hard in the morning. And to me, if the market was going to get long, this was going to be the point where it got long from. My stop was not below the pivot, but it was basically risking this entire 5-minute candle there. and you can see I took very little heat. I did scale out of this trade a little bit at 1-to-1, and then this was 2-to-1, and finally the last two contracts at 3-to-1. So I made 2R on the trade. When you average it all out, price did continue after that, but you'll see that it got rejected quite hard. It broke out of the 200 SMA that I've been talking about since yesterday, but so it broke out there, but got quickly rejected off. I actually have it here. 200 SMA broke out, quickly rejected back down, and had been holding below that, except for the this 1 hour where it broke above before completely coming back down. And so certainly some pretty good supply, a pretty good resistance level up here right now, that's being created, which is why for me to get long, I either need to get long from these lows so that I can target out before this resistance level, or I need to see it break above all of this to get long up here. And so we're going to stay patient. We are going to stay patient. The Russell is dying. It's continuing to die. NQ is trying to push down lower. Strongest market is probably the Dow again right now. But everything's holding below the 21 EMA on, that's a 15-minute. Let's go look at the, well, let me pull it up for you guys here. On the 30, let's even go to the 60. Well below the 21 EMA on the 60 after that run down. If we take a look at the 15, we've got the Dow here, the strongest market trying to push up above, but still holding below. The Russell is just dying. NQ trying to follow the Russell here down. So semi-similar to yesterday, where the Russell and the NQ were the weakest early on, Dow the strongest, and so we're going to want to keep an eye on these other indexes to kind of give us an idea. If we take a look, let's go to the 60 again. Let's go to the 240 to see this Russell. It's got some demand down here. Still has a little bit more room to go before really hitting this demand. So we can see that as an exhaustion point, where if it pushes down a little bit further, 1985, let's say, it can certainly reverse from there and go back up, and that's where we would potentially have an opportunity to get long in the ES, which is what I trade. And so for us to get long, we'd like to see the dollar come down. The dollar is testing yesterday's highs, so we'll see if we maybe get a reaction from that and a rejection back down to where these might reverse and go back up. So we're going to stay patient. Do have the tick chart here, kind of trying to trend up, but still holding in negative territory. And expected that it's kind of trending up, considering it opened so low. The advanced decline here is trash, garbage, sideways. And Q here, trying to trend down, but leveling off there. It's in extreme negative 2200, 2250 territory, so it can't even go that much lower. Doesn't mean the chart can't go lower, price can't go lower. But we're going to stay patient. We've got 5 minutes left in this first 30. That's what that alarm is on my phone. I like to make sure that I am very, very aware of candles closing and new ones opening because of the volatility created by those new candles, especially when I am in a trade. So I have a few alerts on my phone for that, especially when I trade solo. We're pretty good at it when all three of us are on trading. One of us will always kind of be aware of candles closing, and so I don't necessarily have the alarm on always, but when I'm by myself, absolutely. Absolutely. So, broke up right at the open, pulled back hard, but retested the price at the open, and is starting to push back up. Need to see some more strength here on the tick chart, at least getting to the 0 line, but continuing the trend upwards, and we'll see if the advanced decline breaks out to the upside. Getting it here right now on the NQ tick. Certainly not going to get into any trade in the next 3 minutes. We will absolutely be waiting for the new 30-minute candle to open. In my humble opinion, trading should be boring, and I'm trying to keep it boring. You're not going to see me jumping in and out of trades. You're not going to see me taking more than 2 or 3 trades in a day. This is not that type of channel. We're looking for one good trade. We're looking for the best possible trade I could take today. Doesn't mean it's going to work out, but it's a trade that I planned, that I've accepted the risk on, and that I need to let play out. Easier said than done sometimes. Hey, Robert, are you on today? I replied to a message that you commented on yesterday in one of the videos. I'm not sure if you saw it yet. Now, one thing I thought about even mentioning yesterday, and I didn't, but I'll mention it today because yesterday was a very slow day as well, was I do have one mentor that on a day like today where I don't necessarily expect a trade very early on, we're not having very much movement, we already had a ton of movement, that he would say something's moving, go find it. And he's not wrong about that. Something is moving. There is some other index, some other commodity, some other currency pair out there that's likely moving and likely giving some sort of trade setup right now. But what would happen to me more often than not is while I was looking for that, I would miss the trade on what I had been working on all morning for the most part. And so I don't go search for that trade anymore. I wait for the setup on my index that I trade. There have been times where I trade both the ES and the NQ, but I currently have been trading the ES, trying to work on some specific aspects of my trading that I do better on with the ES than the NQ. The NQ is more volatile. The NQ moves a bit faster, and what I struggle with most is FOMO, fear of missing out, and the NQ sucks me into trades much more than the ES, so I have spent the last, this year basically, I traded the NQ most of last year, But I think near the end of last year, early this year, I started trading only the ES. It's the movements and the flow and the volatility of it are much more in line with what I need as far as trading. Not that I'm opposed to trading the NQ. I do think in the future I may get back into trading the NQ. But there's still aspects of my trading that I'm working on that I need to conquer, for lack of a better term, before really I want to get back into the NQ. And in trading, you only need one good trade a day. You don't need to take 4 or 5 or 10 trades in a day. There are trading styles that trade like that, and that's fine if it works for them. That I've tried it and it does not work for me. And so I apologize that this gets boring, but I do think trading should be boring. The rest of the crew kind of wanted Beto to give the information himself, but Beto had a baby last week, so he hasn't slept in a week. So hopefully he'll be back next week. And Franco had some issues that some personal things that he was taking care of this week, and I hope to have him back next week as well. Unfortunately, both of them had stuff going on this week, so I'm by myself. But hopefully they'll both be back next week. And since I was talking about the NQ, let's just take a look at the NQ. Just a very similar chart to the ES right now. Not the only one that's really moving is the Russell. Had a nice push down at the open, and is trying to continue to push back down, but the NQ did break to a new low that the ES did not, but quickly rejected off. That 5-minute did not close below the overnight low, so do not get sucked into that trap like I did the other day, where the 2-minute did close below, but the 5-minute did not. But you'll see the NQ shot up, but then broke where it opened from and broke the overnight low, where the ES, all it did was pull back to the open and hasn't even tested the overnight low. Hasn't even tested the overnight low, so we wait. Could you think about getting long here after it broke out, retested here, starting to push up? That would seem kind of FOMO-ish to me right now. There's no signals from the internals to get long just yet. We did push to a new high there on the tick chart. It is slightly trending up, but no follow through on the advanced decline yet anywhere here on either one of them. The VIX did like gap down a little bit there, but now to get long, we would like to see the dollar coming down, which it's doing. Like we said, it tested these highs. If it gets rejected off to get long, that's kind of what's happening right now. All right, getting pushes on these tick charts. Not getting any follow through necessarily here from the advanced decline though yet. And so, yeah. Is it giving signs and signals of wanting to go long? Yes. Now's kind of when I would want to see. I'd like to see it like to get long. I'd like to see it break this overnight high and come back and retest. At least come and test this high a little bit better, and then have another pullback into here somewhere. Maybe like back into here to get long from if the internals continue to kind of hint at that. Dollar coming down. There we go. Advanced decline starting to break up. Tick creating a new high. So the internals are starting to get much more aligned, especially if this breaks to a new high there. And Q would definitely at the very least need to see it break this pivot. But tick chart's pushing, dollar dropping. My issue with the dollar though is it's dropping so hard that I could pull back and retrace back up this parabolic move right there, which would reverse any long. So that's why I'd like to see some exhaustion from this push right now. So are getting a test. It did break right there. But I do have supply up here, so I would want to be getting in from down here, not on a breakout. If I were to get long, right? If I were to get it long up here, my target would be up above this zone. So I'd like to be getting long down here, where at the very least it's not the bottom of the zone, but I don't need it to break through all of this for me to hit target. And so that would kind of be, it's kind of the trade that I would be looking for right now. No close up there though, so we're going to stay patient. I'd like to see a leg out. Did we get it here on the 2-minute? We did kind of get a leg out, but no follow through there for this pullback. I'm getting a little volume spike there on this pullback, so there's definitely sellers there. So I could potentially see that, risking this entire 5-minute candle there in this initial run up. Certainly like to wait and see where this 5-minute candle closes. I'd like to see it close up here. If it closes up here, I would think about putting this order on. If it closes red or down here, I'm not doing shit right now. Thinking about getting long. What I certainly don't want to see is this break to a new low down here. I'd like to really see, at the very least, this blue dotted line, dash line hold. Dollar is dying right now. It's coming into some support there. See if it just rips right through or we get some kind of reaction. I wouldn't actually mind some kind of reaction off of there to then come back down to get long. I don't want to get into the trade with this screaming down like this, and as soon as I get into the trade, the dollar reverse and turn up on me. So patience, patience. Look at this 5-minute candle. Good Lord. The internals were hinting more to shorts than longs. You could think about even getting short there, but now it's a double test up here. Huge rejection, huge rejection. Think about maybe like drawing a trend line there. Let me remove this one. Let's go to the 2-minute. Should have a better trend line form there on the 2-minute. Can you guys hear me okay? Sometimes I speak loud and sometimes I tone it down a little bit. Got a full house today. Yeah. Trigger trap action. Yeah. Currently, I want nothing to do with this. What can we say about this so far? Well, since the open, it's tried to go long twice. Strong rejections off. Huge push down in the overnight. So certainly the downward trend wants to hold. Was that a deep enough pullback to get short? Probably, but the Russell's continuing to push down. The 21 EMA there on the 15-minute is holding on all four indexes, including the Dow. The Dow's broken above it twice, but continues to close below it. NQ's starting to push down to the lows again. So that could have been the fake out, breaking this trend line back to the downside. Fake out here on the internals, back to the downside. Like I said, did not want to get in long because of the potential for a rejection here on the dollar. That could reverse price back to the downside. So now the question is, on this pullback, what will it do, let's say, in the next 15 minutes? Because we've got a minute 42 in this 15-minute. Does it close somewhere in this general vicinity, and that's the pullback for it to continue going down, in which case we can get long? Or was this just a pullback to continue going long on the dollar, in which case we should be short? Not a clear enough indication from me on everything I'm looking at to get into anything. So we wait. I mean, everyone's trapped right now. If you're long, you're trapped. If you're short, you're trapped. Unless you got in short from up here. You got in short in any of this freaking mess. If you got short breaking the trend line, you're trapped until they break these lows. And if you got in long down here, you're trapped until it closes above this crap. So there's a bunch of people in this zone right now. And so I don't say trapped very often, but that is something that I am also working on, is asking myself, right, who is trapped right now? Are the longs trapped or are the shorts trapped? And am I trapped, right? Nothing more frustrating than being in the trade and you're one of the people trapped in that trade. Russell continues to push down, breaking to a new low right now. NQ new lows. So very similar right now to yesterday, with NQ and Russell leading the charge to the downside. Maybe if you were trading the NQ, a better trade, breaking that trend line, that same trend line after showing the breakout to the downside. But again, I don't trade the NQ. So we're going to wait and stay patient. Daily ATR on the NQ, 300 points, and it has done 208 so far. So still more room to go on the NQ as well if it wants to drop. It's a heck of a nice close there on the 15-minute for the NQ. Solid close below. Heck of a sign to get short on some kind of pullback. If you were to get in short on NQ, I would love to risk this entire 5-minute candle here. Stop up around 28 or 30. Let's call it 30 just to make it a round number. So I'd want to pull back to around 13.5, maybe 13.495. It would have to be a full 40-point stop to get in here at the value area low. Let's take a look at this value area. Rejecting off the lows here on the ES again. Right? Trapped. Everyone's freaking trapped. Shorts are trapped. If you got short up here, I mean, if you target it out here, great. But now the question for me is going to become, can I maybe, what are the internals saying to think about getting in maybe long here if it breaks like on a confirmation entry? It's already tested these highs twice. Could the third time be the charm to break through? I would want to see confirmation on the internals about that. I'd like to see the dollar coming down after this pullback here, continuing to come down, or does the dollar just continue to go up? In which case, I do not want to get long. Still holding well below the zero line, basically on everything here. What I'd like to see to get long is maybe a break up to here and then a pull back to the zero line with the zero starting to hold in the opposite direction. That'll really be the signal that, hey, maybe this wants to reverse long finally. Maybe the Russell ran out of steam, the NQ runs out of steam to the downside, and we can take this bad boy long. Yeah, ES stuck between regular trading hours open and yesterday's low. Yes, it is. And so we wait. Kind of a repeat of yesterday. I mean, to tell you the truth, what I would love to see is the NQ and the Russell push down a little bit further. I don't know what kind of zones or levels I have over here. Let's but push down maybe. This is where price took off from on Friday here. So push down a little bit further, run out of steam, reverse back up. I'm getting long. Now, that's what I would ideally like to see happen. But might get long from here already. May already be exhausted. It's going to be almost an hour soon, where it's tried to break down the NQ, the Russell. The Russell has successfully broken down since the open. Giving 1, 2 red candles. But again, another push down, exhaustion. That looks to me like it needs a pullback that it hasn't given yet. And so we need it to be ready. What are the internals doing? Breaking up. Need to see the dollar finish its pullback here and start to come back down. VIX continues to push down back below 20. Pulled back. Broke below 20, pulled back. Trying to hold below 20. I won't be getting in on any sort of confirmation here, but I'm going to think about if it does come back up here and give me a close. We get a 5-minute close really above this. Then I might think about putting that order on. So if we do get a push up, then we'll look to get long. But I want to be getting in somewhere down here again because I have this zone up here that we haven't tested yet. So I do not want my target to be deep in this zone. Depending on the internals, I may even think about scaling out with a few of the contracts at 1-to-1 instead of a full 2-to-1. Looks like this trade would be 6 contracts, 8 points. Yeah. May think about splitting it up in thirds, getting out at 1-to-1, 2-to-1, and 3-to-1. But nothing yet. Got 4 minutes left in this 30-minute. ES has been in a... This is 68 to 85. 17-point range, 18-point range since the open. Not enough movement for me on the ES. Right now I'm waiting on a close above here. The issue with a close above here is that when that 5-minute closes, the next one could just continue on without me. Especially if by chance this candle, this current 5-minute runs up and closes up there, and then the open of the new 30-minute, it could take off without me. I'm going to have to live with that. I cannot get in up here with this supply here. I'm going to have to wait for a pullback. Would have loved to have seen a little bit more rejection on the Russell and the NQ right now, giving more of a reversal sign here. We did get a rejection in that 15-minute candle, but pushed back down, broke to a new low there. Not necessarily the kind of rejection that I'd be looking for there to think that the Russell and the NQ are ready to turn around. Dollar continues to push up. No signal here from the internals yet, so we will stay patient. Yep, sit on your hands. Very similar so far. Very similar to yesterday so far. Very sideways from the open, tight range. Yesterday though, finally around 11, made a false move down before reversing and going up basically the rest of the early afternoon. We'll see what happens today. Looking to short if ES confirms under the open. And tough day. I mean, tough day only because we have to sit on our hands, but it's my personal opinion that we need to start training our minds to almost normalize days like this. Like every day is a tough day in the market. It's just a normal day in the market. Some days are volatile, some days are boring. The volatile days are difficult because they're volatile. The boring days are boring because they're freaking boring. Close below the open. On what time frame? Not to open there. Yeah, we got the on the 5 minute. Okay. Yes, we do have the Fed minutes at 2 p.m. So if you do happen to get into a trade, make sure you close at least the majority of the trade out beforehand. You can maybe leave a runner on or something like that. Hope that maybe the Fed minutes takes your trade to the moon. Let's see. We are getting nothing overly aggressive on the tick charts. It's a new low on the NQ, new lows on the, nope, not a new low yet on the Russell. That is a new low on the NQ there, though. Pushing down. Again, would love for it to push down and the ES kind of hold, even if the ES breaks down like it did yesterday, but then quickly gets rejected off as a sign of exhaustion of the NQ and the Russell. Don't have any issue with the NQ coming down to here. And then this being the low of the day for me to try and get long on the ES. Now, if you get a close below, are you going to be taking it as a breakout, or are you going to be waiting for a pullback? What's your plan? Sell me your trade, like Franco asks. Sell me your trade, Aaron. So a close below and a retest of the open from below. Will you have a limit order there at the opening price? Or are you waiting for the retest and then some price action confirmation to get in? Do have the Dow even trying to break down now. It's still definitely the strongest. Russell and MQ are screaming down. Did have crude oil inventories down quite a bit. It's green because it's good for currency, so that's going to push the dollar up. And that's what the dollar is doing. VIX turned around and started to go up. Dollar pushing up. VIX pushing back up. All signs to go short. Advanced decline looking like it's trying to roll over. I would have loved to see new lows here on this advanced decline to confirm the move on the NQ. NQ not making a new low here, even though the chart made a strong push down. Didn't even make new lows necessarily here on the tick chart. So could this be the final push to the downside? We'll see. It's got 10 seconds left in this 5 minute. That does not want to close below for you, Aaron. No love from that 5 minute. Now, a close below on this 5 minute will actually also be a close below on the 15 minute, giving you additional assistance from the 15 minute. Can't complain about that. We'll see if that happens. But was that the final push on the NQ? And the Russell is this the low of the day? What I like to look at there is the volume. Decent volume in the push. Also decent volume in the rejection candle. And we wait, still sitting on our hands. This tick gives a push up, breaks these highs. My bias will be long. How I get into the trade, I have no idea yet. But if after all of this negative pressure here on this tick chart and price did not break to a new low after what should have been 1, 2, 3, 4 tests to the downside. 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th test to the downside. No new lows. I'm long. I will be long. For certain. For certain somehow. The question is where and how. But I'm going to sell you the trade. I do want to see it break up here though. Does need to break up. I'm not even going to say test this high. I want to see it break this high to a new high, come back to the 0 line, test out there. So my bias isn't long yet. I do want to be clear, but I want to see it close above with a strong push. For that, I need the dollar to start to come down. Not happening. And ideally, the VIX start to come back down. Not happening. So we wait. Not going to get a close below on the 5 or the 15 there. Heck of a rejection candle off. Still haven't gotten it from the freaking internals though. Breakout there, hitting the 21 EMA. That's the first signal. Come on, tick chart. I mean, I very much want to get long on this. Got that close on the tick chart. Did not close above that high, but finally we're getting a decent close above. This was not the best close above. I only want to see candles start to close above. Love to see this red one close above the 0 line. Again, I'd like to see a push. Exhaustion. Fill our trade. Still our trade. Move this line up to mark the low of that 5-minute candle right now, which is also the low of the new 15. Because if I do somehow get long, I want to make sure that my stop is at the very least behind, risking whatever this 5-minute candle gives me. Because remember, I need it to come up and test these highs again before I put my order on long after a pullback. And I'm going to want to at least have that, essentially the whole 15-minute candle, what will essentially be the whole 15-minute candle, as my risk. Now, if the 15-minute pulls back, I'm gonna want to risk essentially that whole 15-minute candle. So hopefully that makes sense. Russell finally is looking like it ran out of steam here, especially on the 15-minute. Let's see what this 15-minute does. The Dow on that huge push down rejected back up. Strong push back up. Test, strong push back up on the ES. Pretty good rejection on the NQ. But not as well as like two 15-minute rejection candles. Just one rejection candle really here. Oof. Let's see where this pulls back to. Didn't close above the zero line there. But is that the signal? Is that the first sign of the long there? The second sign of the long. That was my first sign of the long. Is this the second sign of the long? And could this potentially be the third sign of the long? A rejection back down. I'm just trying to stack things in my favor. Working our way back down to the open there. Not much going on for us today, guys. If you just started watching, maybe. ES is very sideways. The movers thus far have been the Russell and the NQ. ES stuck in about a 20-point range since the open. Hasn't picked a direction. My bias is rolling over towards the long. The more it tries to break to new lows, but gets rejected off. Waiting to see if the Russell and the NQ run out of steam to the downside and start to reverse back up as a potential, as another signal to take this long. Not seeing that on the internals, though, as far as the tick chart go right now. Just breaking to its lows and near a new low right here. Not so much on the NQ, though. But the dollar continues to push up, which is a bearish signal for the market. So I haven't completely rolled over to the long side yet. I'm somewhat neutral at the moment. I have not stacked enough things in my favor to one side or the other. So we're sitting on our hands. 45 seconds left in this 5-minute. Might get that close below. You'll have 5 minutes left in this 30-minute, Aaron. It's a repeat of yesterday right now. The false breakout yesterday, though, was at was the candle right after 10:30, so a bit late to the breakout right now, but closed even below the overnight. Finally, its first bearish close. Let us know if you have that order on, Aaron. This is not enough of a, I'm going to be waiting for this 30-minute, this 15-minute to close. I would want to see that one close down at this point. The dollar is going up in your favor if you want to get short. VIX is pushing back up. Now above the 20 on the VIX, which is a sign for the short. The advanced decline, breaking back down, broke the trend line there. So do have a few things stacking there. Dow pushed back down as well, holding below that 21 EMA on the 15-minute. Russell new lows, NQ new lows, ES new lows. Dow is the only one hasn't made a new low yet. Crude shot up on the inventories news, but has since retraced. See how the dollar reacts to this supply up here. Breaks through and goes up. That's bearish for the market. Retraces back down, bullish for the market. And we wait. We're going to get nice closes on everything. On the hourly, the 30. I mean, assuming it closes down there. Get favorable closes. This is the 4-hour. If I were to get short, I would at the very least need my stop above this 5-minute candle and ideally above this range up here. Up around 78. Minimum 74, 75-ish. Less than a minute. Dow still holding, has not made a new low. All right, new 30, new hourly. I'm going to stay patient, guys. I don't have enough profit potential to get into a short from, certainly not on a breakout down here. And I'm hesitant because the NQ and the Russell have gone so far. And I'm looking for that one good trade, so it hasn't come up for me yet. Could I just, based off of the price action, take this? Yes. Breaking two new lows. But Staying patient, guys. Minute. I will not. I will not be short down here, guys. I'm just not. My. I don't want to say that my bias is long, but the only trade that I'm going to have a setup for is a long. So I need to wait for my bias to roll over to the long to then have the available setup to get long. My bias is not long yet because nothing fucking saying long. But after all of this negative sentiment, especially on the ES and negative 2000 territory, holding below the zero line, and the chart hasn't gone down, I'm just waiting for it to freaking give me a reason to go long, please. And the only reason that that I can't go short from down here, it's not that I don't want to go short, it's that I don't have enough profit potential after this huge run down to get in short here at these lows. If I want to take target before the 42.50, before Monday's lows, I need to target out of most of my trade before those lows. I'm not going to have 2-to-1 down here. I need to get short. I needed to have gotten short from up here to target out full 2-to-1 target before there. And so that's why when I woke up and I saw this huge move down, I was freaking annoyed, knowing that it was going to be this kind of day. Just normal trading day. A pain in the ass. Just a regular old normal trading day. Boring as shit. $30 in this 15. New 15. Nice rejection off of that pullback. If you're trying to get in short, you need to at least have your stop above that 15-minute candle. Call it 70.50. Take a breakout. $7.50. Come on, bro. You could be in, and where would your target be at 2-to-1? Yeah, target would be below the 42.50 for me personally. I mean, could easily break through that level to test this lower level down here. But not enough profit potential for me before my 42.50 line. And we wait. I don't want to end the live session, guys. I'm going to go for a 2-minute walk just around the house real quick, stretch. I'd like to kind of stay on later than usual today. I know some of you guys probably have to go to work and have other shit to do. I'm going to stay on later than usual today, see if we finally get something. But I need to get out of this chair and stretch my body a little bit. Grab a quick glass of water. And, can I... Cannot pause the stream, but I'll give me a few minutes, guys. I'll be back. All right, guys, a little bit of movement here on the, let's see where the 5-minute closed. 5-minute closed, breaking all of this mess. I do like that. A little bit of volume in that last push down there. Volume here. What did the internals do? Not much. Freaking trash. Trash, trash, trash. That push was kind of assisted by the dollar coming down a little bit there. We would have loved to see the dollar come down to get long. The VIX starting to come down again. But no help here, no help here. So we wait. So we wait. I'm not going to lie, though. If I wasn't live, I would probably looking to get into the long a bit more aggressively than I am right now, which is why you guys keep me in check. The Dow down 0.6, S&P down 0.86, Nasdaq down 1.5%, Russell down 1.8%, and the VIX up 2% on the day. Monkeypox cases jumped 20% in the last week to 35,000 across 92 countries, the World Health Organization says. %15 minimum corporate tax rate signed into law. All right. I want to see a new high here. And ideally here. Well, I think it did make a new high on the NQ. I want to see a bullish close above this 21 EMA on the advanced decline. Nope. Nope, nope. You see another one of those, though. VIX coming down, dollar pushing back down. The potential that the Russell and the NQ have run out of steam, but only the potential that they have. We shall see. 21 EMA holding strong here on the ES and on the Dow. You have the Russell here testing the low, trying to break that low again. Dow finally testing the low again down here. Now the NQ, not so much. Did the NQ run out of steam to the downside? And did the Dow finally give up going long? Dow finally broke the low. Ooh, breaking through hard there. Breaking through very hard there. Very, very hard there. ES breaking down. Let's go back to the 15-minute on these. Let's see how this 15-minute closes. So it closes another rejection. NQ looks to me like it's lost steam though. We've got 3 minutes left in this 15-minute. Curious to see how this candle closes on the Dow. Does it close below the lows, or do we get rejected off in these last 3 minutes here? Nope. Another push down. Another push down. Russell pushing. Not too hard though, but it's gone so far that All right, all four indexes pushing to new lows, all at the same time finally, for the first time today. Or for the first time since the open. The VIX spiking up, dollar trying to push up. Minute 30 left for this to close. Minute left. I would much prefer if I was looking at this. I don't necessarily know that I am or not. Got extreme push on the tick chart on that push here. That's an extreme negative 1200 intraday. I mean, that's a heck of a push down. With that, the dollar, need to see the dollar push up above there and continue to go up. I'd like to see the tick chart going up. Um, 67.50 as a stop. Let's see what that looks like on the 5-minute. 60, so it would be risking basically this entire candle. Ideally, I would love it to be up above there. There's no way to get it up above the 15-minute candle way up at 75. That would be much more difficult. Well, let's see what happens if we risk this entire candle, and we would like to get out at the bottom of this zone. 2-to-1 trade means our entry would need to be up here at 67.50. That seems like a heck of a retracement to get into an impulse short, right? So now if we move our stop behind this 5-minute candle at 69, basically the opening price. So stop up above there. I would need to have an entry. Come on. Yeah, right around here, 64. 5.5 point stop. All indexes pushing down. I don't think we're going to get a pullback, but I'm going to submit this trade. If it breaks to a new low here, though, I'll take it off. I'm not going to be getting in the trade if it gets any closer to this, to my target. Yeah. Nope. No, thank you. VIX continues to push up. I'm going to take it off because of the size of the pullback required. Yeah, it's continuing to push down without me. No worries. I have no qualms about this at all. I had no trade set up for this. It is what it is. No trade so far on the day. Close to noon. We also have FOMC at meeting minutes at 2 p.m. Aaron had the right decision. Close below. Pull back. I don't know if Aaron actually took the trade or not, or if you're even still on. But finally closed below the open. Pull back. All right, on the 5-minute, which was also this 15-minute candle close below. Pulled back. If you're risking the whole 15-minute candle, which you would have had to on the pullback, but you could be near profit. The pullback to 79. So let's say let's cancel. Short of the entry, stop above 79, above that pivot. You'd be a 1-to-1, 2-to-1, just above the 42.50. Now the internals for me were not in favor of that. I couldn't stack enough internals on top of each other to get into that trade in either direction. So nothing, Nathan, nada. I'm gonna call it a morning, guys. We will be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. If I trade later, I'll have a daily recap. At this point, though, I probably will not trade until after the FOMC minutes at 2 o'clock. Like to give it about 30 minutes after that to kind of figure itself out. And then maybe see if I can find a setup after that. But normally on a news event like that, it could just take off. But it could create a range. And then I would try and trade that range. But I'm going to try and call it a morning until after the FOMC minutes. Thank you guys for joining us. Sorry I didn't end up taking anything. Not anything that my trade plan allows for. So it is what it is. Better no trade than a bad trade. And with that being said, we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Take care.